speaking about that, depending on who, where they were, is you gonna get a different interpretation of why, the reason why. You know what I'm saying? Like you might understand that somebody from inner city without a job has just as much to lose, because we just talking about, not from the lens of a material gain. That's not it, even in, it's not a given in the premise, so to speak. So, the interpretation of it is just completely different. Like you coming from the inner city saying, like, look, I know my life's on the line, but it's worth fighting for this. And unfortunately, some of the descendants of those who did fight didn't benefit from it. Some of the people who benefited were the people who weren't even out there in part of the struggle.
Well, he brought that up.
Yeah, I don't think he meant it in a negative way.
He didn't.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah,
But it wasn't negative.
I
I think it was untrue. That's all.
Okay.
Negative or positive.
Yeah.
I just think
Now
it was
remember,
untrue.
where he lived, it was
They weren't
true.
involved because they didn't have anything to lose. They were involved with the movement because they had special abilities, special courage, special spirituality. And again, I wanted my son to experience that because I know the culture in the ghetto.
Right.
It has a lot of benefits.
Right.
But I was afraid of him losing his life at the same time.
Right, and I think what the lose was based on people acquiring stuff.
That's all
Those
he's
in
talking
the
about.
middle income, they had stuff. They had homes, and had jobs, and stuff like that. So that's the only thing I see that's different in your interpretation. Because I believe everything you said, because even teaching Sunday school to the senior high school kids in the suburbs, I tell you, I say these inner city kids come and eat y'all up. And usually when they come into class, they command attention because they're so comfortable with who they are based on their environment. There's a book called The Good Team, Dr. Lanier, and she talks about competency, and they have different levels of competency. And we ask the kids, are they competent in certain areas, socialization, vocation, different levels, and because people don't understand when somebody say you're incompetent, what are they really talking about?
We teach that.
Socialization, you may not know how to act when you're in certain environments, but that don't mean you're completely incompetent. That means your socialization needs to be improved. But you take an inner city kid in D.C., they get over D.C., around D.C. just like the back of their hand. You take a suburbanite, put them in D.C., they lost. How do I get to this? Mom, come pick me up. So their socialization is completely different. So there's value to the things that we've learned, and because of the independence, and they have to do it, latchkey kids mostly, they have, they know how to cross the street.
That's the word I want to use, independence.
Yeah. So they have an independence that suburbanite kids, because they're so sheltered. And then it's so funny because their parents are so lost, thinking their kids are perfect. Yeah. And their kids, present themselves that way, but behind the cut, they getting into just as much stuff as the inner city kids. Exactly. They just have the parents fooled. So I told them, when your kids come in here, when these kids come in here, they're going to eat you up because y'all perpetrate. Y'all want to be thorough. These people are thorough.
That's why that word integrity is so important on all. And what was so powerful, he didn't know anything about what we're teaching. But didn't he align with it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. He
Point
did. That integrity piece, that's what's wrong with this country.
Yeah.
Right now, people don't have integrity.
Well, the foundation is not like, I think until we go through a healing process, a true healing process, we're never going to have it. Because it's a lie from onset. Exactly. So until we can actually speak truth, even the worst kind of situation, whatever the scenario is, let's put it out there. And let's go through it. Slavery was an embarrassment. It's embarrassment for you because you don't want to be seen that way. It's embarrassment for us. We were the ones that were enslaved in this process. So we got to come.
We're both uncomfortable.
Right, we're both uncomfortable. But that's abuse.
Well, one of the something really powerful happened when we did a Leaders of Integrity Summit. We had a group of international people from all cultures come together. They had to read The Miseducation of the Negro. Yeah. And then the panel had to discuss race relations in this country using Dr. Woodson's
Oh,
philosophy,
good.
not only in the miseducation of the Negro, but in his book that he wrote the book in 1912, but it was never published into 2008, and by Asala, because it had been in the files, but somebody just found it in about 2005 or 2006, so they got it published. Carter G. Woodson's Appeal is what it's called, and it was his appeal to the whites during the nadir of race relations in this country about the treatment of the Negro. So you got to read that one.
Oh, yeah.
That one is really powerful. So this panel came together. It was white American male, white American female, which is really two different cultures. African American. I don't know if you know Ray Winbush. He's at Morgan, but Ray Winbush. It was the president of Asala now, Darrell Scott, who spoke about who Carter G. Woodson was and how the miseducation of the Negro came about. And then it was a Native American and Hispanic American and an Asian all on the panel.
Okay.
We have a tape of that that you got to
Okay.
see. And during that discussion, the Asian guy said something, all of them said something powerful. The Asian guy said something that was really important. He said, I came to this country, and he said he went to Princeton, Yale, he went to all these Ivy League type schools. He thought he had the best education. But then he was trying to figure out, why were people killing presidents? He was talking about President Kennedy. And then killing their brother who wanted to be president. And why were people killing Martin Luther King? And he said, I thought I had this hotshot education. But then I realized I didn't understand anything that was going on in this country. He said, if I had read Carter G. Woodson's Miseducation of the Negro, then I would have understood.
Yeah.
That all by itself was a powerful statement because, you know, even our people now, when we were talking about how our own people have not continued to pass the information, a lot of our people got stuck in the 60s when they thought they had arrived, but they thought they were protecting their children. But you aren't protecting them when you are not sharing with them the truth about who they are, because that's what makes us live and interact with people the best way. When we are really sure about who we are, it doesn't matter what somebody else does to us, because we can handle it, because we know what you're putting and saying about me is not even true.
But you know, it was a huge illusion that was disseminated, and it was that if you could assimilate, then that was freedom.
And
so give up your culture, give up that stuff, that black stuff, whatever it is, and if you can learn our way, then you can assimilate and you can have a job, you can have the car, you can be somebody in America. And what it did to us, we became so divided because those who could assimilate bought into that illusion, and they became the suburbanites. And everybody else is left.